Let me warn you, please stop growing with excitement. It is costing you losses. Most beginner farmers don't treat agriculture as a business, or if they do, they are not acting like so. You see, it is okay for you to start with excitement and energy growing a vegetable crop for the first time, but if you don't know how much you expect to earn from the garden you started, the processes that are involved to come up with those returns, and the diligence is required to have all this come to realization, you will hate agriculture. If those three things are not put into consideration as a static, you will seriously hate agriculture. How much you expect to return, the processes involved for you to come up with those returns, and the diligence required for you to be able to come up with those returns. Before I share maybe the other three, let me first talk about the first important factor that really many people miss out, and that is diligence. I'll talk about the last two maybe later for this later to tell you the different hidden truths about making money from your vegetable garden. The success of your vegetable garden depends on 20% knowledge and 80% character and resilience. It is how you respond when things don't go out as planned, when you get total harvest failure after a very heavy investment. So the reason why you try out another season when others, it is the reason as why you try out another season when other people seem to quit. Because let me tell you this one thing. If there are testimonies of people who have honest results of the same vegetable that you're growing or you desire to grow, then that is proof enough that it will work out for you. Because you see, most of these gardeners that don't usually share with you why they have the results they have, they're already just showing you the good success and the good things that are happening there, but they're not showing you what they have really gone through to come up with those results. This is what I discovered even from my personal experience, that these people stayed long enough even when things were not working out until they found stability to produce the results they have. See, finding stability to produce the intended harvests in your garden should be the goal for every beginner farmer. Most especially if you're a beginner farmer, finding stability in what you produce should be the goal for you as you start. And stability is it's just a sense of control you have in your garden to get the results that you need. Because when you have stability, you know what to do when mistakes arise in your garden. You know which practices to eliminate that don't produce the harvest you desire. You know which costs that are laying the business down and how to even eliminate them. You are able to lead your team workers to give you the results that you want on the farm. See, building such intelligence in your garden, most especially when you're a beginner, really takes time and patience to learn. That's the keep work most people are not willing to go and do, because you see, you cannot completely eliminate risks and other eventualities that come in your garden, but knowing how to deal with them is what separates you from other farmers who quit and never get to taste the success of their flourishing vegetable gardens. So, how do we build that stability faster and easily? It's what I'm going to share with you, of course, from my practical experience. So how do I find and build this stability faster and easier? So that I learn how to master my skills very faster. Because you see, most beginner farmers keep asking about what to do at every stage of growing their growing journey. They keep calling experts to know which fertilizers or pesticides they're supposed to be using when certain stage of a crop really comes up. So when they see anything unusual in their garden, they can't help but keep calling the experienced people to give them help and support. You see, every step of the way comes with a lot of uncertainty. That is no doubt. Whenever you continue to grow as a beginner farmer, you'll face a lot of uncertainty, you'll face a lot of doubt, because while you're doing something new that you have not really done before, you'll always have a need for help from someone experienced to be sure whether you're doing the right thing and at the right time. See, my first time, me when I was growing Irish potatoes, I was feeling a lot of doubts. I kept calling the Irish potato doctor expert who was helping me out in the entire gardening journey. because I didn't work on better ways of finding my own stability. I realized I kept on in the same cycle. Even for the next season, I kept on calling this person. So now what do I apply? The person told you last time in the last season how to apply the fertilizer, how to apply the pesticide, but you still keep on calling them. Because why? I didn't find ways of how to find my own stability, on how to become my own expert. Because the truth is that we need, of course, help from these experienced people, but you must reach a moment when you can work out most of the activities alone with a lot of certainty and surety, needing less of the external help. We can't say, oh, not get external help completely, but you have to reach a moment where you can do at least most of the things alone as a gardener in your vegetable garden. And for my own experience, I realized you need 3 growing seasons to find your own stability faster as a gardener. And in the first season, this is what I say you should do. In this season, you have to follow the guide to the dot using the resources you have available, because the principle here is do as I say, then modify later. Because here you're implementing a way of planting or growing that has really worked out in the field already, that has given results. You're not coming up with something new from somewhere, but you're implementing a plan that has worked. So you need to do as you are told, then you modify in other seasons. Otherwise you'll keep wasting time, because at this point you are building your own capacity, you are building resilience, you are building that stability to be able to produce. So you need to act as you've been told. Because see, the biggest mistake most beginner farmers make here is that when they're told to do something, they then want to find their own other ways of doing the same thing along the way. So you ask someone, you go and ask someone who has visas to help you, or a consultant to help you on how to grow something, and then along the way you want to seem wiser, you want to invent you other ways of what you think the person helping you out does not really know, and then you realize later on things are not working out, and you start to blame the person that is helping you. You start to waste, you're wasting time and your own money. And you don't have to waste your time and only money, because you're implementing a method that has worked. Remember, you are investing in a business that you expect to give you profits. So you must be serious about what you're doing. When they have told you do this, do that. You need to follow a proven way of planting that has really worked out for someone and has given them results. So you need to, for your first season, you need to do it to the dot, because at your learning stage, you're not supposed to be experimenting your new methods, especially if you're growing with someone who has proven their work and you've trusted them. You don't need to waste their time. You can't, because you see, you can't improve your gardening experience if you don't have a guide you follow, whose gaps you can see and improve in the next season. So every experienced person has a proven guide that has worked for them, and your work is to follow what has worked until it fits your gaps and your own experience. Because you need to map out the entire journey as they have shared on paper by that person as a guide. You need to map out the entire journey. You need to write down the different activities involved from the start to finish, and the resources that are needed for them to be put into action, and when they will happen. I emphasize you do this on paper. See, it's a faster way of finding your own stability. The activities get stayed in the head when you write things down on paper. So you need to write down everything from seed to harvest. For example, you write down the activity. For example, the activity is land clearing. So you find out when it is to be done. You write down then before transplanting, and then what resources are needed, hose, labor, slashers. Those things are very, 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 very important. Then you will need to do every activity that is involved. You need to do this process for every activity that is involved for the entire season. Like I give an example. An example is land clearing. From land clearing, you state when the activity will be done, and then you also set the resources that are needed for that activity. Then you also put the costs that are needed for each resource. Again, let me repeat, write down the activity, write down the different activities, other activities that are involved, then write down the resources that are needed for that activity, write down when that activity will be done. So like example, like land clearing, it will be done before transplanting. What resources will be needed? You'll need hose, you'll need labor. What is the cost of each? So you need to plan all the different activities and when they will be done and what cost is needed for the resources that are needed to do that activity. That is what you do for your first season, the guide. Then you act out that guide as they have told you. Don't invent your other ways. So in your next season, this is what you do in your next season. In the second season, you work to improve now on your skill gaps. You start to eliminate now the activities that you don't need, that don't yield you the results, and cut some costs that kept the budget way unnecessarily high. Because at least in the second season, you're now evaluating the different things that worked for you in the first season and the things that did not work for you, and you're now trying to eliminate those things and putting in the things that worked for you. You eliminated the costs that will work for you. Like you need these 3 seasons. You see, like I said, the first season is not you don't have a surety that you're going to make it in the first season. The first season is for you to implement what has been given you. Then the second season is for you to correct your mistakes and gaps as you improve. You put the initial guide plan into action while improving your skill gaps and correcting your mistakes. So this process is continuous throughout your entire growing season. Of course, you don't stop learning and improving your plan, but it helps you at least master your stability faster. So please note that there's no budget or plan for a single season representing all other seasons. The perfect one is one whose activities and costs you continue to adjust every other season as you match the expected returns and harvests. So there's no single plan to say that this season I've put a budget, this budget will work out for all other budgets. The budget keeps on improving with time because of the different things you continue to eliminate, because you continue to evaluate and eliminate as you see fit and need. The easiest way to go about this stage is if you started with someone, of course, on your starting journey. This person will be able to see your gaps and help you correct them very fast, help you to know which activities that we are putting your costs way higher that you need to remove and eliminate on this journey. So let's go to the third journey, the third season. Remember, I said we need 3 growing seasons to find stability, to know what to do. So this is irrespective of whether you make it in your first season or second season or third season. The goal is to find stability. Of course, but I know by the second season you would be now growing something. If you follow the right procedures, you'll be having a harvest. But our focus is not that. Our focus is to have the stability. So your first season, when you fail, it's not that you're supposed to be quitting. It's testing the different things that you know, whether the different skills that you know and that you need to work on in the second season. So the third season is where we find our stability. At this stage, you know what to do. By the time you reach the third season, you know what to do. Stability does not really mean you are perfect, but you have a sense of control over your own garden. It doesn't mean that you won't make mistakes, but at this time you at least know what to do, and in case these mistakes come through, you know how to go about them so that you don't make them again in the next season. You know how to go about different issues in your garden that quite affect your harvest heavily. So you can experiment with a few ideas you learn in this season, by the way, from other sources that you learned with other people, or from some information that you've learned. This is a season at least you get to experiment something new. Not in the first season. First season you implement as you've been told. So with continuous improvement and learning better ways of production, you set yourself for the best harvest ever. So by this time, unless you're familiar with different activities that happen within the growing season, you know where the markets are, you know which fertilizers that work, you know which pesticides to use. And I want to emphasize this again. This stage does not mean that you have assured harvest 100%. The goal here is to have a sense of control in your own garden. It is what makes learning and experimenting easier, because the truth is that some farmers may still have a few challenges producing their desired harvests by the time they reach the third season. But if you have keenly followed through every stage as I have told you, by this time you cannot fail at least to produce your desired harvest as you intend to produce it. So let us now look at the other two things I told you you should now focus on. The first point, we're focusing on how to find your own stability in mastering this vegetable gardening business. So let us now look at the other two ways that affect how you earn from your garden. The other thing you should work on is know the numbers. One man said, what gets measured gets managed. What gets measured gets managed. There is nothing as disappointing as farmers who don't know how much they spend and expect to get out of their vegetable gardens. It's like setting out on a journey with no map, no fuel gauge, no destination, then being shocked when you run out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. So gardening without knowing your numbers is not farming. It's gambling with sweat, time, and money. Gardening is not really a gamble. It's a business. Unlike any business, if you don't know your numbers, you always be at the mercy of chance instead of being in control of your own results. So most farmers here in my country, in Uganda, are fond of this practice. They are only excited about the good harvest. And this is the character that I've really seen with most farmers. You see, one farmer once told me that if you know the numbers, you will get discouraged to continue going because you will sometimes spend much more than what was planned for. And so it is rather he said it is rather you just invest in your money, invest in your money into the vegetable business and continue to grow until you get a harvest. That's what he said. And really, this is really disappointing for most farmers, because I believe the main reason most of these farmers think this way is because they naturally don't treat or act on gardening as a business. For them, it is the thing they do to eat food. So they and you see, they eventually end up giving up when they realize they are strained by the expenses of the venture they started. So you eventually feel that you are really spending a lot of money, energy, and time on something that is not yielding you the results that you want. The returns you make out of the venture that you are doing is the main focus here. Remember, always remember that. Because you see, what you should ask yourself, are you really happy with expected profits for the beginner farmers before you actually start growing that vegetable that you want? You should be happy when you calculate and say, yeah, I've calculated these are returns. I'm happy with that. Or after a growing season, how can you improve your returns? For a beginner farmer, that is how should be your focus. The numbers are very important, because you see, every serious farmer doing vegetable gardening as a business should know how much money is spent on different inputs and activities done in their gardens. This is very important, and I really stress on it a lot, because they should know what are the expected harvests from the gardens and the returns from each sale. You see, because if the numbers should be stated, if the numbers are not stated, you're going to hate agriculture. You need to be deliberate about this and everything. By the way, you can check out, if you want to know how to calculate the numbers for the different activities, check out my video on how to make a sustainable business plan. The video you can get in the description below, or you can check on one of my videos on my page. So you because you cannot improve on your production if you don't measure to check out how you are progressing. you are progressing. All right, let me share about now the last points. The last points that you need to work on if you're serious about making money from your vegetable garden. You need to focus on the process and not the outcome. If you do the right things consistently, the results will eventually come. That's why I tell farmers that I want to work with, or I work with, because the processes are very important and they stress a lot on the output, but their processes are still wanting. Because the secret to having a successful vegetable garden is in understanding the process by which the desired produce comes about. Because you see, most gardeners focus on only the produce and are not they don't keep improving on the activities that must bring them the outcomes they desire. And if you're struggling to get the quality and quantity of the harvests you want, always know there is something lacking with your process of how you get those harvests. And between seed and harvest, there are two factors that determine whether you are on the right track of production or not, whether your processes are right or not. And these are two, and these include good agricultural practices. Some farmers or some consultants call them gaps. Those are good agricultural practices. And the other two that I have discovered myself is labor management. Of course, I'm sharing things from my own experience that I've gone through and I've designed to help farmers. So the good agriculture practices, because most farmers, that's where they're concentrating, but also labor management. Those are the two important things that are involved in your process that must yield the results. Because see, I've been sharing quite a lot on these two in my previous videos, because they affect how our harvests eventually come out from our gardens. And if you don't work on them, they'll cost you quite a lot on your gardening journey. So let me share about them, of course, briefly, but I've shared more about them in my previous videos. But even this video, for the sake of this video, let me also share briefly about them. So number one, the good agricultural practices. So most gardeners are not in search of better practices that yield them the best results out of their gardens. You see, they are stuck to the old indigenous ways of production. That is where most farmers are really stuck, and it's very hard for them to even adapt new methods of farming, because they are stuck to their old ways of farming. And what's even most discouraging is that some gardeners aren't even willing to adopt better ways of doing these things. They want to stick to their old ways of doing something. So in a bid for sometimes for us to bring in new, improved and better ways of production, they will seem not to be interested in them, but only desire to stick with those that they know have worked for them generation after generation. Because you see, we have growing populations in the world, and this is necessitating that we need to even produce much more food. So even with the abrupt weather changes that we're even having these days, we'll need to find better ways of producing more food, and even that is of good quality as well, to make sure we have at least an improved security for people that we have. So weather changes are abrupt, and also populations of people are also continuous to increase, meaning there'll be a need for food. And for farmers that are out there, you will need to continuously sustainably set yourself in the market as one that is producing good quality and quantity food that is needed to be taken out for people to consume. So you need to write down the different activities that you do from seed to harvest, and then keep improving them every season. That's the importance of the good agriculture practices. There are better methods that are out there, improved. Right now, the topic of the day is climate smart agriculture. Too much amount of money is being spent into do research on good practices that help farmers, of course, to adapt to the climate and adapt to different changing situations in humankind. And if you're not there really reading and searching out better ways of producing, you're going to be left behind as a farmer. So I encourage farmers to continue attending seminars, continue attending exhibitions, continue attending trade shows, find out this information, get to learn more and more, so that you're not left behind when other farmers are really improving. So that you don't starve on your rudiment methods that are not really yielding the results. So the other factor is labor management. That I said there are two: good agricultural practices and then labor management. You see, you will keep struggling with your gardening experience if you're not deliberate on keeping a check on the people who directly work on your gardens. So if you're not growing the vegetable yourself, then the people working for you need to know what they are doing, or else you will keep making losses upon losses, because they're the ones that are involved directly in your garden. Most times, if you're not there on your garden, they are the ones doing the things for you. So if they don't know what to do, or if they're not taught what to do right, you'll keep making losses. So besides doing the activities right, the people that are employing there, if you're not going to do the activity, they should know what to do. And these are the three things that you should work on for them to be working for you effectively. The first thing, you need to work on their mindset. They should be aligned with the expectations from your vegetable garden, because you see, the outcomes of your garden are a total representation of the communication of your own expectation to the people that work for you. If people are not giving you the right the results that you expect out of your garden, just know you did not communicate them or as you ought, or you didn't even communicate them at all. You didn't communicate your expectations, or you communicated the wrong expectations and then expect other expectations from your garden. So if you should be able to motivate the people that work for you to give you the outcomes you desire beyond the money that you pay for them. Because if you will not put this right mindset in them, they won't keep giving you the results that you desire. So the other thing that you should work on for your team workers to give you the results is their skill set. They should have the right skill set. So before you employ them, do they have the skills to produce your desired crop? If they don't have the skill, make sure you employ someone who is skilled at growing that vegetable crop to teach them how to do the thing. Otherwise, you will keep making losses. You don't want to mess your gardening experience, because you see, you need returns. You need that money. You need that money to come out, because you're spending in money and you're not doing charity, you're doing business. So you need to stop gambling, because you're spending your hard-earned money, you're spending your saving, you're spending your loans into this vegetable. You need to have the returns. So make sure your people that are working in your garden are equipped. Otherwise, they'll be making losses upon losses. So the third thing that you should work on your workers, they should have the right tool sets. They should know how to use the tools that are on gardening, because most of the tools used by most of the gardeners here, most especially here in Africa, are simple machines. Use simple machines that are easy to use, like hoes, knapsack sprayers. And so if you have complicated machines that are on your garden, make sure people are equipped to use them very well, so that they are not making the losses in your garden. You need to bring someone. If things are complicated, you need to bring someone to help you. There are very many tools that are present on your garden. Some things can be your bookkeeping. Do they know how to keep books, to write down the costs and other things? You need to make sure that they know. If they don't know how to read, how are you going to do that? Because you also need to plan. You need to plan how to supervise these people. You can't supervise when you don't know, you don't have written records of how to supervise and what activities are doing. So you need to all work on those things before you start. So your labor has to have the right mindset, you have to have the skills, and you should also know how to use the tools. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. We shall meet in the next video, and I'll be sharing with you more and more insights. Let's meet in the next video. Subscribe, like, and we'll be able to share with you. Of course, I've forgotten one thing. If you're a beginner farmer and you're struggling to start your vegetable garden, I have designed a guide that is in the description below. Get it there, download it, and start your vegetable garden with ease. Otherwise, thank you for watching.